keep trying, something works, something doesn't work.
And you can't get dejected. You know that it's part of the game.
You have to think like that. Because if you think you're dejected, oh yaar, दुनिया ऐसी है, client है, वो तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. The world is not interested in your failures. The world is only interested in what you're bringing to the table the next day. So if you have the tenacity and the perseverance to keep going, someday one of those ideas will shine.
Yeah. This is a podcast which allows us to understand, unravel, and unbox human behavior through conversations with people who've lived unconventional lives, broken some barriers, and have something to contribute to society. This is Unbox'ed with Tunvey. Today, I'm in conversation with an old friend of mine. We have been friends for more than 20 years. He's my friend, philosopher, guide, and in his day avatar, apart from being my friend, has been in advertising. He used to be the creative director of McCann and Rediffusion many years ago. Today is a writer, still involved with advertising, and has recently won 2 Abbey Awards in the Goa Fest that just went by. Is writing films, and I think owns more books than anybody I personally know. जिनमें से कुछ किताबें उन्होंने पढ़ी भी हैं. Please welcome Kaustav Niyogi. Hi, Kausti.
Hi. Happy to be here.
No, thank you so much. And our conversations over the years have been fun, interesting, inspiring. And I thought we should try and document some of them. And that is the whole point of being here today.
Right.
So I think first thing that I want to ask you, one of your USPs during your heydays in the advertising world was you could walk into a client's office, get a brief, create a pitch there, create a jingle, and even hum it.
Well, that happened only once, but I could, I sometimes used to, react to my first instincts. And in fact, I still believe that the best creative ideas that you get are the ideas that you get the moment you read the brief. So I think you should have some mechanism to write them down somewhere, because that's the idea that you're getting, which is tainted by rationality or logic. It's coming from a pure space, and sometimes those ideas do work, but not always. So it's important for you to write those ideas down somewhere.
Yeah, because then it's like a flash in the pan and then they're gone.
And it's the same with dreams. Like, I'm increasingly believing that sometimes, when you wake up, like say early in the morning, and sometimes you get this, what is now known as lucid dreaming. You get this half asleep, half awake vision. And if you're able to remember even fragments of that vision, and you're able to write them down, and I sometimes try to do that in a dream journal, you'll be amazed at so much creative material that's lying there. I think there is now some mumbo jumbo around how the universe is trying to send you a message. Yeah. And वो कहते हैं ब्रह्ममुहूर्त है. What is the ब्रह्ममुहूर्त? That's supposed to happen at 4:45 a.m. in the morning, around that time. And if you can capture some of the images that come to you during that brahmuhurt, it's pretty good.
Yeah. No, but I do agree with you, because there are times when I'm trying to resolve a problem or trying to think of a solution or an idea around something.
Yeah.
And if I allow myself and if I go to bed, saying, okay, I want to think about it, invariably I will wake up in the wee hours of the morning with a sliver of a thought.
Yeah.
And if I build on it, it falls into place beautifully.
So my grandfather was a mathematician, and he used to go to sleep with equations in his head. And sometimes he'd wake up in the morning with the solution. And now a lot of neurologists are also saying this, that you should not try to solve a creative problem directly. So what you should do is that suppose you're given a brief to write, let's say, let's talk about advertising right now, a campaign on a cold drink or a coffee, brand of coffee. So what you should do is that you should read about the subject as much as you can. write down a few rough thoughts or whatever, and then forget about it. And then let it all sort of swirl in your head. Sleep, dream, have a glass of wine, 2 pegs of whiskey, go for a long walk, whatever. And don't try to actively think it through, but be receptive. And I think if you are a good creative person, kahin na kahin there'll be a knock at the door.
And you'll
And
get
an
something.
idea is knocking at the door, and you should be able to receive that guest. You should be able to receive that idea and write it down.
I think
You know?
I think that's a beautiful philosophy, because in today's day and age where I think there is an expectation of creativity on demand,
Yeah.
that also puts undue pressure
Yeah.
on a lot of youngsters who are in this
That is
space.
right. That is right. Look. So here's something that Mahesh Bhatt told me when I was trying to direct my first movie. He said, हर चीज पे ताज महल बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Right? So as a creative person, the fact that you're a creative person means that you're intelligent. So you must use your intelligence and say that I am going to be clever about deploying my own my own intellectual resources. So every brief is not an opportunity to do a great award-winning work. There will be some briefs which will produce okay work, passable work, and let that go. Don't try to say that, oh, I'm going to. Then you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
No, they say, perfectionism is the biggest barrier to great work.
Yeah, no,
Or even good work.
yeah, good work. That's right. So I said the great is the biggest enemy of good. You have to be clever. You have to say that, look, I'll get opportunities. So let me just employ an analogy from sports. So sometimes you'll see footballers, they know, they have a sense of the ball. They know this could be a goal scoring opportunity and they'll suddenly go for that. But there are other moves where they know that this move is going to die in the midfield.
But they still go for
They
it.
still play, you have to play football. But not every move is going to result in a goal. Similarly, for a creative person, you have to say that, look, this is an opportunity which can result in some spectacular work. Then I just put my body and soul and mind, everything behind it. But not everything is that, yeah. So then otherwise every piece of work will be an award-winning work. So you have to say, yaar, this is not going to go there. So let me just
Do a good job.
yeah, 70%, 75%, but not, this is not going to be the 95% to 100% thing. So, and life is about that. Life is about, that you have to also get the B pluses going,
Correct.
True.
No, I think in the doing of the B plus, you also get learnings for the A plus work. I feel that the experience also
Yes.
contributes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I say that you have to keep trying. I met a guy. I was at Amar Vilas Palace. It's an Oberoi luxury hotel. I had gone there with my family, and so I don't swim, but I was still sort of, in those days I used to drink, so I was having a beer, half immersed in the pools. And I met this enormous American who was also having a beer, and he had a trophy wife who was swimming away. So I started talking with him, and it turned out that he had recently become obscenely rich. So I asked him, we got talking, and I asked him, what's your formula? How did you manage this? So he said, I am 63 now, and I've only become rich when I was 62, which means
Wow.
a year back. And I said, so what's your formula? So he said, from the age of 27, I was seized with the idea of becoming rich. I'd try something, fail. Try something again, fail. Try something, get little success, put that money somewhere else, fail. And kept going. So 27 to 62, that's 35 years of trying. And at 62 it clicked and he became like hugely rich. And now he's on a world tour with this new hot wife. And but the moral of the story there is really that you have to keep trying. So creativity is also like that. You have to keep trying, something works, something doesn't work.
And you can't get dejected. You know that it's part of the game.
You have to think like that. Because if you think you're dejected, oh yaar, duniya aisi hai, client hai, वो तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. The world is not interested in your failures. The world is only interested in what you're bringing to the table the next day. So if you have the tenacity and the perseverance to keep going, someday one of those ideas will shine.
Yeah.
You know.
But you've seen some huge highs and you've seen lows. You've lived life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What has been one of your biggest life lessons, and those lessons that have maybe made you change certain things about your lifestyle, about
Yeah.
how you do things?
So look, I like to think of myself as a loafer, and the word loafer is usually a pejorative word. But I like to think of myself as a loafer in the most beautiful sense. Is a person who is free. So a free person means that you are not locked in a room, whether that room is a room of a job or a friendship or even a conversation. So
You always talk about having an exit
that's right. So
strategy.
when I walk into a room, I need to know where the exit door is. So some of my regrets in life are about things where I have got locked in projects, even in friendships which had long become stale. So you should be able to walk away from something, or more importantly, you should have windows open and let fresh air come in, because otherwise things tend to become stale. So A Loafer's Guide to Life is a book that I'll write someday. I
like the title.
Yeah, The Loafer's Guide to Life, yeah. And I'd like to say there, and that really is my philosophy, is that keep moving, keep discovering. This world is full of wonderful curiosities, and if you have an open mind and if you have the desire to walk, you can keep discovering something new every day, and that should be the
Essence.
fuel, that keeps you going, that keeps you thinking more. So I'm today, my daughter won an Abbey, I won an Abbey, I won two as it turns out, and I'm hungry, I'm still curious, and I wake up in the mornings, and for most days of the week, some days I'm also in the throes of a dark day. And that happens. You can have a dark day, but as long as you keep thinking, as long as you're interested and you're writing new stories, new ideas in your notebooks or in your laptop or whatever you use, I think you're alive.
Yeah, true.
And for a creative person especially, it is very important to be alive. I see around me people who are in big jobs, but they're burnt out. They have nothing to offer to the world. All they can talk about is how much money they are making, what goods they have bought, their travel plans, and you can see around them people who are already switched off. Kaun janna hai? Who wants to know that,
True.
What is new and exciting that you're bringing to the party today? How relevant are you to today's conversation, that people want to talk to you, want to listen to your ideas? I think that's important. Yeah.
True. I think when you're curious about life,
Yeah.
when you're curious about wanting to know more, you end up exploring things about yourself, about the world, whether it's
That's true.
writing, reading, an idea for your business. It could be a project or a report that you have to write in school or college. It could be anything.
Right.
I think, like you said, keep moving, and
Yeah.
there'll be good days and bad days.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned that you were in a pool having a drink, but I know for a fact that you haven't touched alcohol in a couple of decades now.
No, not couple of decades. 8 years. I'm 8
8
years.
years.
8
Oh,
years
okay.
sober. I'm 8 years sober, and and look, I've had I'm like Obelix, who fell into that magic potion and can never drink. I mean, can never be given. So I've everything that alcohol had to show me, I've seen, hopefully, and
What got you to quit?
yeah. So too much of a good thing can be bad, and I was in a stage in life at that point of time where I realized that this is no longer.
Serving me.
Yeah, it's no longer giving me, in fact, more days, I'm spending more days feeling black and dark about it, and fewer days having fun. And then I said, so like in any relationship, my relationship with alcohol had sort of reached a dead end. And, you ask anybody who drinks, there's a voice which will tell you when this starts happening. And either you listen to that voice or you say, fuck it, I'll keep drinking, and you smother that voice, you sort of stifle that voice. But I came to a stage where I said, Ki, this is enough now, I think. And I need to.
Yeah, the consequences of, or the day after.
Yeah. So the alcohol, I have this story. And though it's an alcohol story, I think it's true about many things in life. I read this, or somebody told me this story or a joke, I think, about a guy who suffered from erectile dysfunction. So he said, okay, what to do? He tried many medicines, anything, and nothing worked. So he turned to prayer and he prayed to Lord Kamdev. And after many months, years, Kamdev was
Kind
enough, and he appeared to him and said, okay, son, what do you want? He said, sir, I have this problem, and give me the power of 100 dicks. Lord Kamdev said, 100 dicks? He said, yes, give me the power of 100 dicks. So he said, actually this has to be told in Hindi, कि 100 की ताकत दीजिए मुझे. तो कामदेव कहते हैं, हाँ, 100 चीज़ों की जो भी है 100 ताकत दीजिए. तो कामदेव ने कहा, ठीक है बेटा, तूने इतनी देर मेहनत की है, तपस्या की, देनी तो पड़ेगी, ले ले. So he suddenly sees, fuck, he's got the power of 100 takes. He is damn thrilled, यार. अब इतने सालों से कुछ हुआ नहीं उसके बाद, तो बड़ा खुश होके he starts going home. Suddenly he gets a tap on his shoulders. वो कामदेव वहाँ खड़ा है. बोले, बेटे 200 टट्टे भी तो साथ में लेके जा.
For those who don't understand, the 200 balls that
200
accompany
testicles has to come. Now this is so you can interpret this in a purely sexual way, but it's also a story about the unattended consequences of every decision that you made. Those 200 टट्टे will come. आपको सिर्फ 100 की ताकत दिख रही ना. You forget about those 200
the
consequences, attended consequences. तो जिंदगी में किसी भी, so beware of your what you wish for,
because there are consequences.
The weight of those 200 testicles not too far away. Yeah, so
which is I think true for, and I know that we've there'll probably be multiple beeps in this conversation, but I think it is so true that when you decide to have a late night or binge watch television for 3 hours at night because it felt fun, the consequences are a foggy day the next day. You're not your 100%, and it need not apply to, like I said, only alcohol. Literally every decision we make has consequences that we don't always anticipate.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that that life is full of these simple carbohydrates. तो चाहे वो चॉकलेट हो या पिज्ज़ा हो, टब ऑफ आइसक्रीम, बिंज वॉचिंग ऑन नेटफ्लिक्स, और व्हाटएवर खूबसूरत चीज़ें हैं आपके, ये मेला लगा हुआ है. सो इन दिस फेयर ग्राउंड we get suckered into consuming, but we don't think about the consequences of these consumptions. And by the time you realize it, you have a hangover, or you've put on 20 kgs, or you have
you've lost your edge at work sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think it's important to keep your see, look, you have to say fundamentally who you are. You have to be aware of that. And if you say to yourself, and I'm sure we are talking about unboxing today, and so if you say that I am a person who wants to get in touch with my creative side. The creative side doesn't mean you have to be a writer, or every human being has a creative side, and unboxing has to do with that. And I think that if you are able to tell yourself that I will keep my creative side alive, it means that, so for everything that you have to do, there's certain things you have to give up.
Yeah.
It means that to keep my creative side alive, I have to be not doing certain things.
Yeah, doing certain things is a given, but the not doing, we don't pay enough attention to at times.
You have to. So, I'm ashamed to say that I'm the laziest writer in the world. And but when I read about people who have actually achieved great work who have become great writers, for example, each and every great writer has some inviolable writing habit.
Yeah.
So either he'd say that he writes for 3 hours in the morning.
And that's non-negotiable.
That's non-negotiable. Aandhi aayi ya tufan. Or I was just reading about Mr. Murakami, Haruki Murakami, a fantastically successful writer. He's got a word count. So whatever happens, he will write 1,500 words
Every day?
every day.
Every day.
Whatever happens. But if you sit down to write 1,500
It's
words,
not that
it's
much.
not that much. It's the everydayness of it. नहीं आज तो मैं जा रहा हूँ दोस्तों के साथ पिक्चर देखने में, कल लिखूंगा. So कल it has become 3,000 words. कल I'm going out with a new girl I've met. परसों it's 4,500 words. By the time the week ends, you realize you've got a 10,000 word deficit and you said, "Boss, ये मेरे से नहीं होगा. The party's over."
Start from scratch again.
So it's the everydayness of it. It's so to be a creative person, you can lie to the world and say, "Oh, I'm really inside me. There's a creative person." Ghanta, you're nothing creative. Creative person means you have to this process, this routine that they adhere to. And
No, but I completely agree with what you're saying, because in all of the books that I've read, in all of the courses that I've done, in my conversations with people, in the biographies that I've read, there is literally not just for creative people. I think every successful person sticks to habits and routines, because they say motivation is fickle. It will come, it will go.
True.
It's the habits that ensure you're doing something every day, every day, every day, every
That's
day.
right.
And like you said, it's the everydayness of it
Yeah.
that eventually gives you
Yeah.
the big success.
Absolutely. So if you're a creative person of any persuasion, you're a writer, painter, sculptor, or just see the other thing that's happening, you have to also see the context today. A lot of the mundane work now increasingly will be done by AI.
Yes, correct. That's the future.
That's the future. So it is bad news for mediocre people. So you have today, but actually it's a great opportunity for creative minds, because if you have a creative mind, or if you have a sharp creative product to offer, that is something AI is still some
Few years away.
from. So you can still be relevant. But if you are just offering mediocre work, you'll soon find some form of AI doing it,
For you,
and you'll be
yes.
out of a job. You'll be out of a. There won't be any opportunities for you left. So I say for creative people, there's both great times of great opportunity, and there's times of great threats as well, because the threats are looming all around you. So I think that if you see what's happening around you, and you can extract
Hone
some
your
of it.
skills. Yeah, hone your skills.
That's
and,
right.
and use that technology actually to work for you.
Absolutely. There is so much that a person can do today. You can just sit at home. You can have a podcast just sitting at home. You can make videos with so many things available. And so, for example, for a lazy guy like me, I'm waiting for a day when I can just write my story and the AI will write the screenplay out of it. So things are
Then there's just edits and re-edits and hashes left out. That'll be an
yeah.
interesting. And I'm sure it's not very far away.
It is not very far away.
So, while we're talking about technology, Kausti, I also know for a fact that in this digital world, you're one of the few analog people I know. You don't have a
this is my
smartphone.
phone.
Yes, correct. You don't have a smartphone.
But this is a sexy phone, no?
Yes.
Yeah. This is a conversation starter also. People see this phone and say, "Wow, what's that?"
And you say, it's a phone, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, and it's a bright yellow phone and a metaphor for my personality that I'm kind of unplugged from social media and a lot of those things, because I find it difficult to concentrate even with the distractions I have, and I know that if I get into this is going to be a huge distraction. And
yeah, it's your philosophy of living in rectangles.
yeah, so I believe that all of us are willy-nilly prisoners of rectangles. आप घर में रहते हो, that's a rectangle. You get into a car to get out of the house, that's a rectangle. You walk into your office, another
Some form of a
some
rectangle.
wherever you go, your gym, your cafe, everything is a rectangle. You're just so this whole unboxing thing that you're saying, and geometry, architecture has a huge unseen effect on your thinking. So you have to get out, whether it's going to a park, going for a walk, sitting under a tree, just doing nothing, dream,
Be with nature.
be with nature, be with yourself. I think it's important to be with yourself, and a lot of us have forgotten to be in touch with our own selves, and that's where the problem is.
Yeah, we're so used to an external stimulus keeping us entertained. We don't
Yeah.
know how to be quiet
That's
and
right.
just be with yourself without a phone, without
Yes.
a drink, without television,
Yes.
without someone
Yes.
talking to
Yes.
you.
So I have another theory that in a day meet no more than 5 people. So I don't mean the cabbie or the shopkeeper, but you shouldn't meet more. Let me just rephrase that. You shouldn't meet. You shouldn't have more than 5 meaningful conversations in a day. That's it. Because you need to. If it's a meaningful conversation, you need to
Reflect on it as
reflect
well.
on it, think on it, let it simmer, let it sort of stay with you. If you're gonna donate yourself to 200 people in a day, catch, you are just
You're
each day-
depleting your energy.
Yes, absolutely. You're just diminishing your soul, and 5 years will pass, and then they ask you, "Ki yaar, in 5 years mein what happened?" You said, "Yeah, I had 2 million WhatsApp calls. I had 4 million updates. I saw 20 Netflix movies, and my life passed by." And unseen, unheard, our life is slowly passing by in this bilge. It's all going away. It's all, and we don't even realize that. So I say, start. Maybe you don't have to do this, but I'm just saying, start
By taking out some
thoda,
time.
just seize control of your day and says, boss, and even if you don't produce something spectacular, at least you've had fun. You've done something. You've not sort of become a.
The day is not gone by in a haze.
Yeah.
There was some part of your day that you can hold
That's
on
right,
to.
that's
and,
right.
And,
There's something
and sleep
rich.
with, something interesting that happened.
Something interesting there, because in a day there's so many interesting things. The life is so. Kafka said this, that you just have to sit in the morning at your desk and look out of the window, and there life is right. He used the word writhing. WRITHING, writhing. So that's it. So in all its beauty and its splendor, life is writhing right in front of you. You just have to develop the faculty to look at it,
That is so true.
to see that, Yeah.
So, what would the 57-year-old Kausti advise the 27-year-old Kausti? 3 things that you would tell your younger self.
Yeah. So, I'd say to start with, you have to be a learner. So, print a T-shirt with that. You get that thing when you're trying to learn how to drive, that
Like
L
L.
sign. Yeah. Put that L sign on that T-shirt and keep wearing that T-shirt. There's no end to learning, especially today. Because today what has happened is that thanks to the internet, the whole knowledge ecosystem has exploded.
So, be a learner always.
Yeah. So I'm not saying don't watch porn, but apart from porn, also go to Hearts and Letters Daily, go to the Marginalia, go to, I'm just saying the sites that I go to. There's so much to see. There are so many newspapers available, so many journals, so many interesting sites. Then AI is adding a whole new dimension.
True that.
There are new programs available. So each week almost, there is something new that is emerging that you can learn from. And the more you learn, you realize how little you know.
That is so true. The more you
Yeah.
learn, you realize there's so much more
That
to
is
learn.
it. So that's to do with my second thing. And I'll admit today that, when at a very young age, I became creative director and I won so many awards and so on and so forth. That was way back in my early 30s. And I let all that get into my head, and I became, I think, a bit of a demon. But mostly, I think today, with the benefit of hindsight, I did myself a disservice because I let my ego
Get in the way.
become an obstacle to learning. And that would be my advice to a younger self, that don't let your ego come in the way. So, as we were talking some time back, I think Bhagwan Rajneesh said once that the learned man is not someone who's necessarily read 10,000 books. The learned man is, or the knowledgeable man is someone who's removed the obstacles from the path of learning.
Yeah, that's
And there
super
is
powerful.
no bigger obstacle than your own ego. यार मैं तो सब जानता हूँ. I've been there, done that.
Khatam, then it's over.
See, at a young age, what tends to happen is that you think that getting that cynical attitude of,
Is cool.
is cool. So here's my actual advice to you. Even if you portray to the world
That you're cool.
that you're cool and you have this cynical attitude, but chup chup ke pad liya kar, seekh liya kar, keep learning, keep absorb from people, meet new people, have new experiences, and each new experience
Will teach you something.
will teach you something.
true.
So keep be an absorbent, have an absorbent mind, and keep getting things. You may have an outside attitude which says, "Oh, I know everything," but in
But
reality,
honestly, you should at least be honest with yourself.
be honest with yourself. Keep learning. That's my second piece of advice. And the third, and this is the most important thing for a creative person, is to keep laughing, and mostly laugh at yourself, because this world is actually one big joke. And if you take yourself seriously,
Yeah, then you've had it.
look, at a very serious level, what are we? We are all just a constellation of atoms, and you can't take some atomic particles too seriously. I mean, all this thing that we are seeing, the thing that there's no such thing as color. It's only particles which are sort of bombarding our retina, and we are imagining color. Similarly, there is no such thing as another person. It's just a constellation of particles.
That we are perceiving as another person.
And we are perceiving as another person, getting turned on, getting, excited, getting, oh, wow, look at that. Nothing is at the end of the day, there's just electrons dancing. Yeah. That's at a fundu level. At a more mundane level, if you can't laugh at the circus that's going around you, then you're not really a creative person. Yeah. So keep laughing at others, but most importantly, laugh at your own foibles, laugh at yourself. Look back at yourself and say, ये मैंने क्या किया यार, वो गधा. मैं जब आप देखता हूँ ना अपने आप को पास में, कहता हूँ, हाय राम, ये मैंने क्या बोला उसको यार, oh fuck, what did I say to her? My life is just one
It's a series of oopsies.
series of embarrassments, and when the caption is a bloody fool, the picture is me. So these are my three things: keep learning, keep ego at a distance, and third, always
laugh.
laugh at the world, laugh at yourself. Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it
Yeah,
goes.
it was fun. Yeah, it was really
Thank
fun.
you
yeah.
so much. And
Thank you so much for having me.
No, my
Yeah.
pleasure. And I truly appreciate the fact, just bringing awareness to the fact that learn to be with yourself, even if it's for 10 minutes a day. And
Yeah.
that brings so much beauty and joy into your lives that is
Yeah.
not necessarily measurable, but you will see the benefits of it over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Kausti, and we'll see you again on another episode of Unbox'ed with Tunvey.